This is Rick Goodrich, your Chief of Safety and Security for Boerne ISD, and you're listening to The Ascent with Crestmont Private Wealth.
The opinions expressed are those of the host. The material is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute investment advice, and it is not intended as an endorsement for any specific investment. Visit crestmontpw.com for more details.
Welcome to The Ascent. This is Sam McGee with Crestmont Private Wealth. We have offices in Houston, Texas and Boerne, Texas. And today we're going to talk a little bit about something that's important to pretty much everybody, family. I've got Alec Walker on the show, our EVP of Financial Planning and a CFP that runs our Houston office. He's on the show quite regularly. And welcome back, Alec.
Hey, Sam. Glad to be here talking about something that is important to all of our clients. And I think, as we've talked about recently, a really important service that I think we offer in terms of this kind of multi-generational planning.
Yeah, and before we get into the details of that, we do talk a lot internally about kind of the ideal client of ours and also what's important to us in terms of how we operate. And I want to share that on the air a little bit because I do get this question a lot. Do I have enough? What's your minimums? Things like that. And so let me just share that at first. So we talk a lot about our core values, which are square on our website, but also there's three words that we use a lot, and it's client, community, and team. And we use those three kind of categories of is it good for the client? Is it good for the team? Is it good for the community? As a way of kind of a weighing scale on decisions that we make day to day. And I'm really proud of that. Our whole team buys into that. And I think it's important that to those that are listening know that. So Alex, share a little bit about who our ideal client is, because I think when they see that wealth management or private wealth, it means a lot of different things to a lot of different firms. What does it mean to us?
The first thing that most people probably think is, there's a certain amount of assets that we need to qualify to be a client. And of course, that is something we do have to keep in mind as we are taking on new clients, because if we took on everybody that walked in our door, we wouldn't be able to provide the right service and attention that our clients deserve for the complex financial planning and investment management needs. So yes, that is something that we do consider and talk about, but we also kind of dive deeper into the demographic aspect, psychographic characteristics of our clients. And when we really sit down and think, what are the ideal clients? To me, if I could put it in one sentence, it would be families that are philanthropic and focused on helping their children become successful as well. They're optimistic and they're looking for a collaborative or strategic partnership. Sometimes people may want to view us as a vendor, but some of our most successful client relationships are those that say, hey, I don't want to make a major financial decision or even a minor financial decision without consulting with Sam and Alec and the Crestmont team first, just to kind of maybe give me a sanity check on this decision before. And that collaboration, partnership, and trust that's built over time, those are our most successful and long-term relationships that we have.
Yeah, and I would say also, Alec, that I can speak for you on this because we've been working together for 12 years. We enjoy that too. I really get a bang out of clients calling us up and saying, hey, I'm thinking about buying this lot or building this home or buying a second home or gifting to our children, and that they come in and we collaborate on it. And ultimately they're in control, but they love getting the ideas. They like the generation of ideas, options that are really in their best interest. And we're not talking about products. It's not, let's give you something you don't need, or let's talk about a certain brand of an investment. We don't have that at Crestmont, and it's refreshing. I think what you said about having the door open, but limited to a number of clients that kind of fit that demographic that are high net worth or high earning is really, in a nutshell, who we serve. So today, I do want to talk a bit about some of the experiences you've had that might resonate with someone listening out there, of some of the things you've worked on. Obviously, confidentiality is paramount. So no names listed, nothing specific, but just some of the situations you and your financial planning team have worked on maybe in the last year that involve family and multi-generational. What does that experience look like? Even an older parent bringing in their adult child who's starting to create wealth. Maybe talk through some of those things.
Yeah, there's been quite a few scenarios like this. I think probably the most common one that people may resonate with is maybe we've got a client that's in their mid-40s to mid-50s, and their child that we've maybe helped set up a 529 plan is either graduating high school or graduating college, starting their first job, and maybe we're helping, or maybe they're still in high school, but they're working part-time and just started their first job, and we're helping them start a trail builder account in addition to giving them some advice on their 401k plan. But even beyond that, there's been a couple scenarios where we've kind of had the sandwich generation there where the client, like I said, mid-40s to mid-50s with their children, but then they're bringing on their elderly parent. And I can think of a situation within the last 18 months. The client's father passed away, and now the mother is inheriting all the assets, and she was never really fully involved with the financial day-to-day. It was the husband that was taking care of that. And so kind of bringing in that elder generation, bringing them on board just to give them peace of mind, knowing that somebody is looking out for their mom's assets, that's helping handle the required minimum distributions, that's helping manage the investment, that's handling the account transition and opening, which was a very complex manner in and of itself. So it's just so validating to what we do to help clients through those difficult times.
Yeah, I'm thinking of one that I was involved with this past month, a tough one. We had a client that passed away, and the spouse client was a little overwhelmed, and understandably so. I mean, that's a big loss. And so I think that the core value care comes up quite a bit. It's not our day-to-day thing to go through just basic correspondence at their house, but that is something we did, went through a review and trying to get that spouse stabilized financially, and at the same time going through a pile of mail that, you know, what's important, what's not, because maybe he or she didn't deal with that before. And so I went up and sat next to a shredder and said, nope, you don't need this. Okay, this goes in the trash, this goes in the shredder. And yes, we're going to make you a binder and let's get you stabilized. And so I love that. I love that about our team. I love that we're there to help and there to care. But I don't think people think of wealth management and financial services as those kind of actions. I mean, generally speaking, I think our industry as a whole has a lot of work to do to create a perception of care, because there's tons of movies about the scandals, and there were some bad actors out there, and probably still plenty of bad actors out there. In a short summary, Alec, just share a little bit about, if you were to tell somebody listening to this for the very first time what wealth management and financial planning means to you here at Crestmont in the way that we care for clients. What does it really mean to you? You've been doing this 12 years. Share a little bit about that.
Man, that's such a good question. What it means to me, I mean, I think back to when I was an intern going on 12 years ago, and my taste and perspective of finance at that time was, I'd heard about the great financial crisis in Wall Street, and this is a cutthroat industry, and realizing very quickly how different it was, seeing families coming in to meet with you and the rest of our team, and how we really knew their situation. We really got to know them, and we're certainly giving advice in their best interest as a fiduciary. It was like a light bulb went off. And I joke talking with clients that are interested in learning more about our firm. Over time, it's almost like I know these family finances better than my own. You know, I kind of know, this is generally the time of year that this client needs funds for property taxes, or I may know a client specific budget a little bit better than my own at sometimes, because that's how we put in the time and energy there. So it's really kind of getting to know their situation to provide that advice. And I wanted to touch on something. We kicked it off talking about multi-generational planning. I think this is really important for people out there that may be thinking about, maybe not necessarily their parents that are older, but their kids that could be maybe just graduating college or early in career or mid-career. I mean, we've taken on a couple children of clients from the mid-30s to their mid-40s this year recently.
Yep.
And one of the main themes that those elderly clients have been thinking about is, hey, if something happens to me, I want to make sure that my kids are taken care of just like I was taken care of. And for those of you out there that think that, oh, I'll just write down Crestmont's name or my advisor's name in the will, and when something happens, the kids, they'll go off and they'll be taken care of. I hate to say that. I don't think that if they don't have an existing relationship with your advisor now and they're building that trust and getting to know them, if something happens to you, they are going to go out and make their own decision, and that's in their power. But if you think that whether it's us or a different advisor out there, somebody that you trust, and you want your kids to start building that relationship, the time to do that is now, because they won't know us from the other advisor down the street or the new robo AI wealth management platform online any different. They don't have that prior relationship beforehand. And so that's something that has been really important to our clients recently. And so we've been acting on that.
Yeah. And I think about that exact situation, Alec, with Stewardship, and just thinking about the family that maybe built a business and sold it, or had a 30, 40-year career somewhere and had a ton of liquidity built up and they didn't use it all. And so that gifting near the end of their lifetime, where they can see the fruits of that labor and start to teach some of the values that got them there to the kids. And these are adult kids. I mean, this isn't going down to children, it may be adults, but I think it is important to get that integration from Gen 1 to Gen 2, even down to Gen 3, so people can understand, like, hey, how did this happen? Like, it didn't just poof out of thin air. And those conversations in the gifting isn't so much mechanical as it is expressing stewardship, values, and what should happen with this money and why. And so I'll put a little plug in for us on this. We do something called intergenerational family billing, and I think it's really unique. It's a way for us to give the entire family an aggregate billing schedule and get more economy of scale for the entire family. Meaning, if a grandchild has $25,000 529 with us, or if the middle adult child has $500,000 with us, they're going to pay the same rate as the entire family structure, meaning a lower rate by grouping that together for billing purposes. And that's been something that I think has encouraged some of these conversations a little bit, but it does come down to trust and the willingness for that wealthy family to dialogue, wouldn't you say?
It does. Yeah. And the math on that, it's at a minimum, it ends up being about a 20% discount for generally it's benefiting the younger generation that's coming in with a smaller initial cap balance, but at minimum, 20% discount, it can rise pretty high, depending on the size of the overall relationship. So it's a great way to kind of, like you said, build that continuity and allow the older generation to pass on those skills and those principles and trust. And like you said, see the fruits of their labor. We've done a lot of work this year on strategic gifting to the children. And then I even talked on a podcast last week, kind of saving for children and grandchildren, and then the Trump account, how that could be a potential strategy for families to employ.
So I think that's really all we have time for today. And I think there's going to be somebody out there that's listening to this going, wow, had no idea. So Alec, thank you as always for sharing some of your wisdom, some of the experiences that you see at Crestmont. And those of you that are listening that are maybe reluctant to choose an advisor, just think about your family and think about what you want to do in stewardship. At Crestmont Private Wealth, we care a lot about that. Give us a call or send us an email at info@crestmontpw.com. We're right here in Boerne on Main Street and in the Galleria area in Houston, Texas. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and God bless.